have started my training back, so I am going out for a pretty short hike. I'm doing only 5 to 6 miles for a couple of weeks until I get in better condition. I'm not gonna lie, I'm in pretty bad shape. I've been pretty inactive, and so I'm trying to kind of ease back into it slowly. Not hiking with full pack yet and all that. That's coming up. Oh God. So I thought I would do something a little different today. I thought I would do a video on 5 most dangerous things on the Appalachian Trail. And I'm going to start with number 5 and go to number 1. Got the little numbskull with me today. He is the reason I was unable to spend the night in my tent on New Year's Eve. Long story. Anyway, he's all healed up, and I'm going to get him out and get some energy off him. He's driving everybody nuts in the house. So me and Blue here are headed over to one of my favorite stomping grounds, and that's over at Mara Mountain. It's the Bridle Trail. I like doing the Bridle Trail because there's usually not so many people on it, and it's a really nice day. So it's there may be some horses over there, which I'm not sure how he's going to react, but I guess we'll see. I do have him on a leash, so there's that. Woohoo! Not many people here, just the way I like it. I sound so antisocial, I'm really not. Park in my usual spot. Okay, so we've been out here a little bit, and hopefully the dog has calmed down a little bit now. The biggest problem is keeping him out of the horse poop. Anyway, let's get on with that list. So, top 5 most dangerous things on the Appalachian Trail. We're going to start with number 5 and go to 1. Number 5, scary people.
And on the 3rd day, God created the Remington bolt action rifle.
Okay, so no joke, this was a fear. And not only for me, but also for my family. And I think that everybody has that fear just a little bit, but higher percentage are probably women that have that fear. And truth be told, it's still a little bit of a fear for me. Now, 99.9% of the people that you meet out there are going to be the kindest, most generous, giving people that you will ever meet in your life. It will change you. But there's always that, 1% that, could be a problem. And so of the 2 to 3 million people that set foot annually on the Appalachian Trail, only a very small percentage of those people end up victims of violent crimes. Now, that's a very, very small percentage, but of course that doesn't really help much if you're in that percentage, right? So with that though, there are ways that you can lessen the probability that something bad will happen to you. So some of those things might be, A, pay attention to your surroundings. Look around you. Notice the people that are around you and the situations going on. B, follow your gut. The gut's telling you that there's something off about it or someone, then get out of that situation. Now, I've had a couple of, sketchy encounters on the trail. Nothing major, but enough to where I was uncomfortable. But thankfully, I had people with me that I was kind of hiking with, and we were all kind of camping in the same area. So that brings me to another point. Your family, having people out there that that you've gotten to trust, having them around. I'm not saying you have to hike with everybody 24/7, because not everybody wants to do that. But it's nice to come into a camp at night, if you're in a solitary, setting, and have, your buddies camping nearby. It makes you feel so much better. Also, some people like to carry maybe pepper spray, something like that. I know a lot of people that do that, and I usually do that on a daily basis anyway. Moving along, number 4, wildlife. Okay, so yeah, bears are another one of those big fears of mine, and I think a lot of people have this fear. But I've had 5 encounters now, one even with a mom and 2 small cubs, and she stood her ground, but she wasn't threatening, and I just moved off slowly and left them alone. I'm not saying you shouldn't respect bears. You most definitely should respect bears. They can be dangerous, especially a habituated bear. If that's a situation that can be dangerous. But overall, they're going to take one look at you and run. And everybody's like, what about snakes? What about coyotes? What about mountain lions? Honestly, you might see snakes. I've seen several. I've almost stepped on a couple. So, just try to be aware. That's just, part of the wildlife is part of the Appalachian Trail, and it's their home, and it's a privilege to get to see them on trail. But just be careful. Just be respectful and just be careful. Honestly, the biggest problem you're going to have is with the tiniest creature, and that is the tick. Summer months out there, that is going to be a constant issue, is trying to keep ticks off of you. Specifically ticks that carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever and Lyme disease. Those are the worst. Those are really debilitating and awful diseases. So it's always good to protect yourself from ticks. Spraying your clothes with permethrin, etc. Checking yourself over at night to make sure you don't have any ticks on you. That's a good thing to always be doing. So one of my nemesis on the Appalachian Trail was bees. I got stung like 5 times in 2 days around Front Royal. So yeah, if you are allergic in any way, shape, or form, make sure you got an EpiPen. Because yeah, lots of bees, yellow jackets. And it's always better to hike out front so your partner does not stir the bees up with their trekking pole. Okay, number 3, weather.
Cows.
Okay, so that's pretty legit actually. It is important to be as prepared as you possibly can for whatever weather you might encounter. We were constantly checking our phones, apps, all the time, trying to keep up with what the weather was going to be like. Because if you're not prepared, you can run into a situation that is deadly. So even recently, a very experienced thru hiker passed away up in New Hampshire. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a weather-related death. And it was very sad. And this was someone who was a Triple Crowner. I mean, this person knew what they were doing. But things happen, and you try to be as prepared as you possibly can. I carry rain gear, and I carry, I have my tent, and I have a Garmin, and I even carry heat packs just in case, just to try and, if I get too chilled. Now I had a situation coming out of the NOC, which is the Nantahala Outdoor Center. That particular day, Morgan and I decided to hike out, I think it was like 8 or 9 miles to the shelter, and it was pouring. And it wasn't really cold, but it wasn't warm. And it rained all day, and we had rain gear on, rain pants and rain jacket. But of course, when you're wearing that, you get soaked because you're sweating. And it's a long, anybody knows that hike is a long climb out of the NOC. And by the time we got to shelter, we were both soaking wet. and the shelter, I remember being packed full of a bunch of cold, wet people. And I, quickly got out of my wet clothes and got my warm stuff on and got in my sleeping bag. But I believe I shivered for 2 hours. Now, of course, I got health issues that makes, my stuff worse. But, yeah, it was a little bit scary because I just couldn't get warm. So, I do carry heat packs with me, just that I can put, close to my body that do help. And, of course, if you have a Nalgene, you can use the Nalgene to fill it, boil some water and put that in it and sleep with that if it comes to it. Anyway, yeah, so weather is something that you really want to be careful with, and not only cold weather, but hot weather as well. I'm very prone to dehydration, so that is definitely an issue. Lots of people get dehydrated when the weather gets hot. So make sure you drink plenty of fluids. You don't want to, trip to the ER like I had. So, okay, moving on. So number 2, that would be falling.
Took a hard, violent fall, kind of pinball down.
This is a personal favorite of mine. Ask anybody who knows me. So very few people annually, actually die from falling off of something or falling on the Appalachian Trail. But you can get pretty hurt, and it can send you home. So, there's no way to say you're not going to fall. You can't hike hundreds of miles over rocks and mountains and, roots and sketchy areas without occasionally falling. It's going to happen. Ways that you can mitigate that: training. I found that the stronger I got, the longer I was out on trail. I got not graceful, that's not the word I'm looking for, but I was less likely to fall. And I know that the strengthening my legs really helped a lot with that. Also training with your pack, because training without your pack, you're not used to carrying that weight, and believe it or not, when you put that extra 25 pounds on your back, it does make a difference in how your feet act, and it does make you more susceptible to tripping and falling, because you just tend not to pick your feet up as much until you get used to it. So yeah, that's one thing. Adequate hiking shoes, that's another thing that might help. Now, some people prefer boots. I prefer trail runners just because, I grew up running around in the woods in tennis shoes, and I'm just more comfortable in them. But, whatever works best for you. And it's a good idea to try and find what works before you actually get out there on the trail. And another thing, of course, would be probably one of the most important things would be don't, video yourself while you're hiking and walking the dog. Yeah, stay focused, but that's kind of hard to do sometimes. And obviously, trekking poles, which I don't have today because I'm trying to do a video and I'm trying to walk a dog. So, no, I don't have my trekking poles today, but yeah, I used to, make fun of people with trekking poles when I first started out, but they have saved me so many times. And I have seen a lot of younger people on the trail, that didn't have trekking poles end up falling, and that ended their Appalachian Trail hikes. So just keep that in mind. It's not an age thing, it's just a safety thing. And I think trekking poles are invaluable. Okay, and number 1, widowmakers. What are widowmakers, you ask? Well, basically it's a tree and the top of it is dead. And occasionally, if the wind gets up, or sometimes for no particular reason at all, it just falls. And it is called widowmaker for a reason, because if you just happen to be camped out under that tree, it can fall on your tent and it can kill you. I don't know, I'm not really sure that anybody has died from that. I know that last year someone almost did when a thru hiker was camped and a tree fell during the night and literally missed his tent by inches. So yeah, it is something to be aware of when you're camping out in the woods. But anyway, so that's my 5. If you have anything to add to that, or have any comments or things that have happened to you, please comment below. Let me know. I'm interested to know. So I just wanted to thank everybody for all of your support. You guys have just been amazing. If you like this content and you want to follow me when I go back out on the trail, please hit that like button. Please subscribe and come along for the journey. And until next time, see you guys out there. Bye.